Good afternoon and welcome to Second Chance. Second Chance is a weekly talk show that examines a wide range of social issues and seeks to inspire physical, emotional, social, and spiritual healing, believing that God is a God of second chances, and through faith, all things are possible. Second Chance airs live each week from the beautiful campus of Oakwood University and features real people with real issues and offers real answers. And now, here's your host, Kenneth Anderson.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Second Chance radio broadcast. I'm Kenny Anderson, as always delighted to be here with you for the broadcast Second Chance that airs every Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, originating in Huntsville, Alabama. Second Chance has been on the air now since November of 1990, so we're celebrating our 35th year and rapidly moving towards year number 36 later this year. We always try to provide information and inspiration to our guests and our listeners, and also introduce new people to the platform for a variety of different reasons. Our whole purpose in this space is to uplift and to hopefully give someone a sense of direction, in some instances, perhaps a measure of purpose, and an opportunity to grow and develop in the process. I, of course, have the unique pleasure each week of serving as host and producer of the broadcast. And once again, I'm delighted to be here with you on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. It's been a little bit hot here in the city of Huntsville. Temperatures have been in the 90s. And of course, summer is beginning to settle in like for real. And we've had so much rain over the last few weeks. Of course, my garden is very happy and it's growing. And it's producing, and I'm excited about that. But we'll keep an eye on things now that the weather is turning just a little bit into that phase of the year where it gets a little bit warmer in the process. You may be listening this afternoon at 90.1 FM on the radio. We welcome you to the broadcast today. You may be listening at WJOU.org on the internet, which means you're listening perhaps anywhere around the world, and we do hear from you from time to time. And you may be one of those who are getting hip to the live stream. The live stream, of course, is at Praise 90.1 FM on both YouTube and Facebook, where you can actually be a part of the visual experience of Second Chance. You can actually drop things in the chat, and you can connect in real time with the guests that are on the broadcast. I, of course, am delighted to have this opportunity on today, and we've got several guests to talk to today, and I'm very excited about that. And I'm excited about the opportunity to be able to share and to talk with them and to have the opportunity to be a part of the space that we provide in this particular arena called the Second Chance radio broadcast. Now, that is the number 2 ND Chance. A lot of people still spell it out, but that's not what it is. It's the number 2 ND Chance. And we also invite you to follow us on Facebook on that page. We invite you to follow us on Instagram as well, where we have clips of the broadcast and also community information and announcements that we hope will be beneficial for you. We hope that it's an opportunity for you to learn more about what's happening in the community and connect with those people who matter. By matter, I mean people who can help you move into spaces that you desire to be a part of. I believe my first guests are here right now. I'm going to check this out and see if they can log on at this point and if they can hear me. I see where your mic is muted and I don't, your mic is no longer muted.
Yeah, we were just doing that as a courtesy.
Oh, okay. Well, we're ready to talk. So get that mute out of here.
Done.
It's so good to introduce my first guest today. They are Dwight and Sharonda Ware. They are always full of energy, enthusiasm, and activity. regarding things that are happening around the community. They've been on the broadcast before, and we're glad to welcome them back today, because when we last had them on, they were talking about an initiative that they launched called Chocolate Rocket City. We're going to get an update on what's happening with that. But since then, they have moved into the podcast space. And we're going to find out about what's happening there too, because if you want to know what's going on in Huntsville or the surrounding area, then you want to definitely connect with Everywhere We Go podcast. And that's WARE, their last names. I'm going to ask you guys, let me start right there. How'd y'all come up with the name? I mean, other than the fact that it's your last name, did you have some kind of a conversation about that?
We did. You know, it's funny. May sound silly, but you know that song that goes, everywhere we go.
Everywhere we go.
People want to know.
People want to know. We're not going to sing the whole song.
So anyway, that song resonated with us. We know you're musical, Kenny. So it just made sense because people used to see us and be like, we see y'all everywhere. So it just kind of connected to what we were talking about, which was connection and community and culture. So that's the theme of a podcast.
Yeah, and something did come up where it said everywhere I go or everywhere we go. And that's perfect. What if we inserted our name in there?
Yes, Ware, pun.
It just came to life.
He's a punny guy, as you know.
Hey, listen, it's a perfect name. It's a perfect name to play off, and it's a perfect theme in terms of what you all are trying to convey. I'm going to talk all about that in just a few moments, but it's just a little backstory stuff on you guys. First of all, tell us a little bit about who you are, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit about some of the cool things that you've been doing, because, you know, you guys make Huntsville, Madison County cool. If Dwight and Sharonda Ware are around, if the word is out that they're coming, if there's been a Dwight Sharonda sighting, or it gets even deeper than that, if it's a Dwight or Sharonda sighting, or if it's one of their kids, if the Wares are around, something's going on and it's something positive. It's almost impossible to miss them. If you're where they are, you're in the right place. So Dwight, Sharonda, tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. I'll start because it was mainly me. I was the cause, or the catalyst was my federal job transfer. Like a lot of people moving to the area, my job was transferring us to the area 7 years ago. From the DC area, sorry. Came here with the FBI, worked with them for a number of years. And Dwight's job was able to commute back and forth to the DC area. So we were able to move our 3 kids here. And we found Huntsville to be like just really fun and cool and a lot of stuff going on, but it became difficult to get that information about what was happening. So we didn't know Kenny Anderson at first. And so we
were in the dark.
Yeah. But I mean, just the fact that we have Jazz in the Park in September every year, you know what I mean? We have these wonderful recurring events that we wanted to get the word out about because people were asking us about it when they saw that we had gone. I didn't know about that. That's what started the website, Chocolate Rocket City. And then we started having our own events. And then we started doing social media. And then the podcast seemed like a natural extension of that because we could sit down and talk with folks that are behind all of these things.
Yeah, so the play on the word is we moved here from Chocolate City, DC area, and we came to Rocket City. And so it was just a natural name. Like we said, we're pretty good with names.
And there's all the other things you could connect to chocolate, it being sweet and it being pleasant. It's not that quick to make. You need to enjoy the time. Be present. Be present and enjoy. Savor it.
Yeah, it's all real cool, and I just love it. And sometimes it works out that you just have the perfect confluence of things. It just kind of comes together, and of course, your name right there, anchoring everything, makes that possible. Dwight, tell us a little bit about what you've done and what your background is.
So my background was in engineering. We met in college. So I was an engineering major, and she was the arts and sciences major / arts.
He wants to say crafts.
Arts and crafts, but I digress. We met. We've been married for over 25 years, and we brought our 3 kids to Huntsville. I was doing IT. I was doing some consulting, and then worked for a software company, and moved on to doing contracts while I was here. But due to the environment, our we had a transition. So Sharonda was left the federal government, and I left contracting, and we've been focusing on this pretty much full time over the last year.
This and real estate. I'm also a real estate broker. I do
Yes.
commercial and residential real estate, and the company is Ware Real Estate. But it's really
no play on names.
No play on names. I just thought
we're real estate, although the RE could be real estate.
We ran out of the creativity at the podcast.
Yes. We used up all our resources.
I got to ask you guys this, right? You know, a lot of people talk about Huntsville as being flat. I know it's changed over the years. I've been here for over 40 years, so I've seen it grow. I remember what it was when it was a baby, and I'm from New York City. Shout out, right, Sharonda?
Shout out to New York, baby.
What part?
Nixon 5. Oh, well, he's from Manhattan. I'm from Brooklyn.
Yep.
But it's all New York. 5 boroughs. The 5 boroughs.
It all works out together. Nixon 5, but that's another story. But tell me about this whole notion that a lot of people have about this community. It's flat. There's not much going on. Not much to do. It's not very exciting. Oh, give me Atlanta, give me Birmingham, give me Memphis, give me Nashville. You know, there ain't nothing happening in Huntsville. And you guys come here and you get planted here, and you're enjoying being here.
Yeah.
But you also realize that there's some things that you might want to do to fertilize the ground while you're here. And I know that's how Chocolate Rocket City evolved. Talk to my platform about how you come here as new people and you immediately engage. And I'm not saying instantly, but immediately. It wasn't long before you start looking around and saying, how can I be involved? How can I pour into this community in a positive way? What's that conversation all about between you all, and how does that evolve?
You want me to start? I would say one of the biggest things.
I don't think I have a choice.
Yes. I was impressed by the amount of philanthropy here. Because you have the industry, you have the government, you have a lot of people who are highly educated and they, get successful and they have all these foundations and they have these events or they're part of organizations that want to do well. And so they had a lot of the social gatherings and these galas. And to me, they were huge opportunities for us to get to know people because you're sitting at a table with 6 other people besides me and my husband who are here in the same space and place and time, who can talk about a number of things that are going on at the moment, like the weather it was getting there, any of those things. And then just seeing them again at other events kind of started to evolve us knowing groups of people and being introduced to other people. I think it's about, like you said, really recognizing the riches in your backyard, really recognizing where you are. And just, we had the perspective of being elsewhere to know that sometimes bigger is not better. Sometimes it's just busy. And if we just slow down and just enjoy and appreciate what we have, it's awesome. Like, it's just really seeing what's there. We didn't have to make up anything. We didn't have to invent people. And it's also disproportionate. This is the other thing I think is special about Huntsville. For the size of this city, the number of really cool and interesting things there are to do and people to meet is incredible. People just need to recognize it and we wanted to make it easier for them to do so. And that's part of why we created the calendar that's on chocolaterocketcity.com. But there are more and more folks that are recognizing it and putting the word out. And if we just, embrace that, I think it will just continue to help us to have those connections together while we're here.
Yeah, I think she said the key word, connections.
Yeah.
We go to a lot of events. As Kenny said, we probably average 3 to 7 events a week.
Yeah.
And in each one of those events, we try to meet at least one person.
Yeah.
So, you look at that and it starts to grow.
Yeah.
But with that, we don't want to be the only ones that know people. We don't want to be the only ones that know events. We're open to share. So that's why we're not just building a website. We're actually trying to build a social infrastructure. So that's where we start. We have 4 channels. So as we start off with the website, it has a calendar on there. So you can go in there and figure out what you want to do for the weekend, or you have friends in town that are coming in 2 weeks. You can start to make your plans. But on the calendar, you have a link that actually goes to a ticket. If there's a ticket involved, you can add it to your calendar and you can share it. Then the next channel is a social media, and that's where you can have more
engagement. Yeah, I mean, it's a community. There's a group page on the Facebook page and also a Facebook page, and there's an Instagram. I think we also have TikTok. We just want to make sure we highlight certain events. You were saying.
Yeah, we want to highlight certain events, and we also tell you about the events. So every Thursday I put out, hey, what's coming up this weekend to Huntsville for our demographic, for our culture. They have different platforms for different cultures, but we're doing it for Black culture. But also know that chocolate comes in all flavors. So it's not just for, a certain demographic. If you enjoy this.
But you forgot to mention the biggest one is our in-person event.
No, we got two. We got two more. So
you said social media, website.
We got the
podcast.
In-person events. So we start off with a few events. So our biggest one, our signature event is Bingo on Beats. We had it very, very recently. And instead of numbers, you have music, and it goes by different rounds according to decades or special rounds. So people come and just
the game card has songs on it.
Yes, the game card has songs, and it is a fun time. People get up and dance, sing, nod their heads. That's a good time. We also have something called
the chocolate hour. Yeah.
So the chocolate hour, we wanted to have almost like not just a networking hour, but a way for people to connect. So the first Tuesday of every month, we try to bring people together, one location, because we know so many amazing people. We want you to know each other. Yeah. So, and you don't have to have a business. You don't have to, come with friends. We could be your friends. Well, you just have to be open to however you feel, because we have games where you can engage. So the first event we had puzzle pieces, and you had to find your match to the puzzle. And then that started the conversation.
Yeah, it's just pretty simple a lot of times though, Kenny. I mean, just kind of like the things that you've been doing so much around the city. It's like we say we need to continue to share the things that are already awesome. And if there's anything unique that we could like plug in and add to that, we want to do that.
Another reason why we started the chocolate hour is that Sharonda went one weekend, and she, within the matter of a few days, she found 3 people that said they didn't have any connections or have any friends in Huntsville. And we're like, we need to get you to a space where you can meet other people.
We're like the wingman, and they're like, oh, you like sewing? I know so-and-so has, sewing club, Yeah, I'm just making that one up. But
I don't know. She's never been a wingman for me, so I don't know. But and then our last channel is the podcast.
Yeah, the podcast has really been such a I would say a labor of love to a certain extent, because you know how much goes into preparation and all the things. But
have you ever been on a podcast, Kenny?
Yeah,
do you know anyone who has a podcast?
Only 35 years.
Sort of.
I got some big guests for you. But we just know, like we said, we know people, but sometimes people only know those members at a surface level. So we want to have deeper connections and for people to tell their story and what has caused them to get to where they are.
You know what really excites me among so much else that you're sharing with us today is that you all have made a personal investment in a space that so many people can benefit from just by showing up, just by showing some interest, just by being able to refute the notion that there's nothing going on. I don't know where to find it. I just heard recently someone talked about a big event that took place in Huntsville that I, featured on my show. A bunch of other people talked about it. It was just everywhere. And people are like, well, this is my first time hearing about it. So the goal in the calendar, I know, can never be we're going to get everything. Yeah. But it's still a touch point that if people know about it, they have an opportunity to go there. And I love what you're saying about being mindful about those individuals who may be new to the community or people who've been here a long time and they're still not connected because they don't know that these things are going on and they haven't taken the time to find out about these things. And that is absolutely wonderful. The Everywhere You Go podcast, which I love the Ware play on words, by the way. The Everywhere You Go podcast is featuring conversations that I think are impactful for people because again, it's an extension that takes people beyond the calendar. It's like so they see something on the calendar, they see something on the social media page, and it's good to see that. But now you have a chance to kind of unpack some of this stuff and talk to people that they may need to get to know or that have events that they may need to be a part of. So talk to me a little bit more about what your hopes are for the podcast as you continue to develop it along the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny that you asked that question right now because we were just talking about being more like clear about how we're choosing the guests that we are inviting and what is behind their story that people may not even understand at the surface. So a lot of times I think our guests are entrepreneurs and, you know, they've had setbacks and it's like, how did they overcome those things? And what was it that kept that motivated or what drove them in the beginning towards starting the business or starting the event that they do annually? We had, we've
had a range of people here in Huntsville.
We've had casts of real reality shows.
We've had 2 reality shows on our show, Nextville and More Than Hair. We've had several singers. So Jazz McKenzie was on The Voice, Nina Marie. And then we had a dancer. So Sharonda went to a concert in Atlanta. So not all of our events are in Huntsville. And she saw a dancer for Monica and Brandy that was from Huntsville.
They just introduced all of the different ones that were performing and they highlighted like their hometown and he was representing Huntsville. Oh my gosh, we had somebody from Huntsville. He went to Johnson High School. He was talking about how proud he was. His name is Lakiri. Lanier McKenzie. Excuse me, Lakiri. McKinney. Yes, Lanier McKinney. Yes.
Kenny's going to edit all this out. We know about podcasting. I know he's going to edit this.
Lanier McKinney is awesome. And he was dancing with Brandy and Monica. And then we found out that he had been with Mariah Carey and Usher. And
Beyonce.
But sometimes people don't know that. Like to me.
And he even danced with us. So, you know, his stock went up after that episode.
Yeah. Yes. But like, I mean, the whole thing with the podcast is also, okay, where do you take that from? What opportunities can you have from even these guests that are having events or doing things that like we had Nakia Lightfoot on the podcast, I think recently, her published episode can help somebody to know, hey, I'm vegan, but I don't always want to cook. Let me go on over to Fuji Vegan and get me a nice burger.
So we did used to work. Chicken. We used to work there,
and we worked there for a while too.
No, I've seen you working there, so I know it's true.
No, we not only talk about it, but we help people.
We got to be about it. Yes. It's so many amazing people in the community, and sometimes people just get into this grind of, you know, work home, or even just their own small circle. And we just want to at least shine a light on opportunities to go beyond that and just know how many riches are right here in their own backyard.
Yes, you wouldn't believe how many gems you have just around you.
Yeah.
And you talk to people. And I was listening to somebody recently and they were talking about luck, but they said that a lot of times luck is just getting out the house. Those opportunities end up happening because you're out and you just bump into somebody. So, but you got to be out to do it.
That's right.
We're trying to help you.
That's right. So we've got about 4 minutes left, and you mentioned the word gems, and I immediately thought about some individuals that I hope you define them as gems, but they happen to be your offspring, your children.
Oh.
And I thought
depends on the day.
Timing is everything.
Yes. We got 2 gems and 3 children. That's today. I'm joking.
I want to give you a moment to shout them out because I know you're very proud of them. I know that they're very well accomplished. You have one that graduated recently. And so it's a lot of good stuff happening within the Ware universe. So just give them a quick shout out.
Give them a quick shout. Okay, I'm going to start from youngest to oldest. Victoria Ware is the one who just graduated from Alabama School of Math and Science down in Mobile. And she's going to Spelman next month, and she has been so blessed to just be embraced by that alumni folks here.
Middle son, we'll go back and forth.
Yeah, go ahead.
Middle son at Alabama,
Corey,
kinesiology, Corey Ware. He's also RA.
Yeah, he's all right. He's Mr. Black Student Union. Don't forget
Yes,
that.
he won that contest. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's a big dancer. And our oldest, his nickname is Trey. He's Dwight the third, but he lives in Alpharetta, outside of Atlanta, and he's been working in the financial services industry. So.
Yeah, he used to go to Auburn. He used to go to Auburn. So.
Yeah, he also played lacrosse there. So that was his story.
Yeah, just last year. But yes.
The three of them are they're kind of like empty nesters.
So let me say something.
Are we empty nesters?
We're officially empty nesters, but I do want to say something. My daughter came back from high school and she just wanted, like, the first 7 days, she wanted to go to she wanted to go out like 5 nights of the week. And we weren't used to like having curfews or doing anything like that because our oldest son didn't really go out.
And arranging rides.
And then she just wanted to go out. And then when she was out, she wanted to keep the party going and go to another spot. And then we stopped and we was like, where did she get that from? And then we realized she got it honestly. So it is.
So but when they're here, they like to come out to things. I mean, I know they want to go to jazz in the park. They got friends. I think you had a jazz event last December that Corey was like, "Hey, Mom, let me get in there with you."
And Corey had a great time that night. And
Reverend Cartwright, I think it was. He was dancing with him.
He's a still dancer. He
blended right in with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. They appreciate it though. I think it was a blessed move for them too, coming from the DC area. Yeah.
That's terrific. So we got maybe a couple of minutes left. Tell people where they can find Chocolate Rocket City, and then tell them where they can find the podcast everywhere we go. Awesome.
ChocolateRocketCity.com is the URL. So it's literally those words. If you can spell them separately, ChocolateRocketCity.com is the website. There's a link from there to the Everywhere We Go website. And that's WareWego.com. But it's also on YouTube. And it should be, I think, broadcasting on all the other
channels. We're expanding. But yeah, right now it's on YouTube, but you can check out our Instagram, check out for both Everywhere We Go, as well as Chocolate Rocket City.
Yeah.
And go to the website, check out the calendar on ChocolateRocketCity.com, but also first Tuesdays of the month, come in person to the Chocolate Hour.
The Chocolate Hour is so much fun. And right now it's at the Straight to L Speakeasy. So
great location, central location.
Until the end of well, I don't know.
So just check it out. It'll be on the site.
To the end of this year, it's going to be, we're planning on having it there. So
that sounds awesome. And I'm just going to say in closing that, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know Dwight and Sharonda Ware, and you haven't learned in the last 20 minutes why you should know them, then I'm just going to encourage you to do that expeditiously. That means quickly, fast, now.
That was very TI.
My phone's ringing right now.
That was very TI. Expeditiously. Thank you so much, Kenny, for having us. We appreciate you. And we are excited about just all the things that we're doing here in Huntsville. It seems like
we're excited about you.
Yeah, because you seem busier now than before retirement. I'm gonna just say that.
Yes, and we love coming to your events, and you have a lot of good events, and people don't know you do things on a small scale, and
big and small.
We want to highlight your events as well, especially Jazz in the Park. So
we'll look forward to that opportunity soon. So. Dwight and Sharonda, thanks for joining me this afternoon, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a great day. What a great way to start the broadcast this afternoon. Dwight and Sharonda Ware, they are the curators. I like using that word when I talk about people who've developed things or created things. They're the curators of ChocolateRocketCity.com and a dynamic podcast that you need to know about called Everywhere, Ware, like their last name, WeGo.com. Check them out on Facebook, check them out on YouTube, check them out on Instagram. You will not be disappointed. We're going to keep the ball rolling this afternoon because anybody that's rocking a New York Yankees hat is always welcome on this broadcast, unequivocally and without question. My brother is with us this afternoon. Lawrence Souffrant is joining me today for what I hope will be a very, very intimate conversation about men and some of the things that he's doing in the space of his work and his mission. He's a life coach and professional speaker. He owns Lawrence Souffrant LLC. He's been on the broadcast before, but we were kind of in and out really quickly because it was a bigger thing that we were talking about. But we're shining the spotlight on him today. My brother, what's going on, man?
Man, I can't complain. Blessed. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. You know how to get back on the show, man. Just keep wearing that cap.
Absolutely. I'm going to wear it every time now.
Oh, man, listen, it is great to have you. It has been great being able to align our missions and our visions over the last few weeks, months, etc., as we've had a chance to move in different spaces. And I've been able to see you show up in a very powerful way, a very engaging way, and that has all been very important. So I wanted to highlight your vision and your mission today on the broadcast, because people do need to know about what you're doing. And because we have a show that's not just a local show or regional show, people listening all over the nation today, people listening all over the world, and people are live streaming the show on YouTube and Facebook. I just wanted them to connect with you today and even beyond today so that they can learn that there is opportunity to get better, to heal, to grow, to improve. And that's exactly what's going on today. Talk to me a little bit. Let's start out right here. First of all, give me a little bit about your background.
Yeah, man. And once again, thank you, Kenny, for this opportunity. It truly is an honor. I don't take it lightly. And so I was born in Brooklyn, so hence the hat. Yes, sir. Raised in New Jersey. And long story less long, my father wasn't around during my pivotal years of growing up, when the testosterone started kind of kicking in and I felt myself becoming a man. My father wasn't really around. And my mom's a real loving, endearing woman, but I needed some act right, and it wasn't available to me. So I ended up going to the streets and running around the streets. I can articulate it this way now, right? At the time, I didn't know I was looking for that masculine presence. But that's what attracted me to the streets. And I hate to say this, Kenny, but it's just the truth. Unfortunately, while growing up in the church, I didn't see that type of presence in the church. And so the men in the church did not attract me in those seasons. If we lived in a perfect world, the elders or the deacons would have came and would have been that. But, unfortunately, we live in the world that we live in. But God is good. I gave my life to the Lord in 2007, was able to get out of the street life. And based off of the things that Christ has done for me, I kind of made it my mission to help other people, to be that void filler that I did not have. And so I focus primarily on community as a whole, how to foster communities, how to create safe environments, both physically, emotionally, and spiritually. But I have a special heart for men because I understand the dynamics that men go through and that we really don't have the spaces, or at least it's not intentional. We might get together with the boys and it ends up being deep, but we don't come intentionally to heal those wounds. And we put those pressures on our wives and our mothers when really as men, we need to support each other.
Yeah, this is such an important conversation because as we look around at many of the conversations around manhood, some of the challenges that men are facing, oftentimes I think this is to our deficit that we kind of elevate the conversation around the absence of manhood or men in communities when we don't focus on the men who are there. And I think that, as a member of the 100 Black Men, for example, we just had our national conference in New York a couple of weeks ago. There's a room of, 1,500 men from all over the world who are making it happen. And our whole thing is, boys will become what they see. So we're real men making a difference because we believe what they see is what they'll be. And you alluded to that a moment ago, the absence of a father in your life that created an opportunity for you to look in a different direction. And I hope you'll talk to me a little bit about just this whole notion of how even with a father, a person can still look in that direction.
That's right. That's right.
So that's not the guarantee.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about what makes the difference in situations when there might even be a father, that they look in the right direction.
That is a great question. And let me preface by saying this. There are no guarantees in life. We deal with possibilities and probabilities, and both of those are relevant depending on context, right? So in other words, we can only do our best, right? And so, but with that being said, there's a difference between a father being around and a father actually being present, right? And so and this is no shade, because at some point our children get to a point where they have to make their own decisions. You could have did everything right, and they still had to make their own choices. The difference is you only have choices when you have options. And so we can't get upset if we don't provide other options for them. Then they're only going to choose what's available, right? And so when a man is present, you're providing another option. But for a lot of men, we were taught to shield certain things from our children, shield certain things even from our community. We kind of hide our scars, or we hide our weaknesses. And when our child, or when our son, my oldest son right now, he's 16, and I could tell you he's still a 16-year-old, an average 16-year-old. This is not a prodigy story, right? He is an average 16-year-old. But I can tell you this. I've been raising him, all his life. I've always been present, and that's something that I didn't have. But when I started doing activism work in Decatur, I made sure to bring him with me when he was about 13, 14. And, my wife, she trusts me, she was on board, but my mother was scared. She's the one like, oh, it's so dangerous and this kind of thing. And she's like, aren't you concerned about safety? I said, well, Mom, that's why I'm out there, because it's always dangerous. The protest is not the dangerous part. It's when we get pulled over by crooked police. That's the dangerous part. And where's the accountability for that? So if I don't fight to make our city or our area safer, then what am I teaching my son? What world am I leaving back for him? And he has to see that. He has to experience it. So when he went out there with me, I watched him mature overnight. It was like the energy of that. And, I had an opportunity to speak at the protest, though that wasn't the plan, but they knew I was there. And you know how that works, Kenny, I'm sure, right? And so, so him being able to witness his father making an impact in the community, something I've never experienced, but it gives them now another option, right? Versus some of the other choices. And we keep him, I keep him around other brothers who are like-minded, because it does truly take a village. That when they reach about adolescence age, according to child psychology, they're supposed to test everything that you taught them. So when you teach them something and you put them around other people who have like-mindedness, they're only going to reinforce what you taught them, or they're going to teach them what you was absent to teach them, where you neglected to teach them. It's going to be one or the other, right? And so I keep good brothers around so he can see, oh, Dad's not crazy. This is how men think. I don't want him around the other mentalities and adopt that as manhood. I want him to see those that grind, those that are faithful to their wives, those that are acting in their community. This is how men think. So it's my job to curate that environment, that word you like, right? To curate that environment where he can identify manhood by the men around him. That's the best I could do. Now, at that point, if he makes another choice, he's a free will being. He can do that. But I've done all that I can do.
Yeah. Wow. I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about the narratives that we're told. And those narratives, of course, are spoken and they're also acted out. And what we see is ultimately what we process and then make decisions about with regards to where we go. There's a narrative out there that basically says, well, let me talk about two narratives. There's one narrative that says it takes a village. And there's another narrative that says men are too selfish and self-focused to create the village that's necessary. What do you think about when you hear that dichotomy in terms of these two supposed realities that exist in life?
Yeah, it's so far from the truth. This can get really deep, Kenny, and you know how I do, right? I try to make it simple. But the reality is, if we're talking about a particular age group of men, so let's say we're dealing with men from 30 to, let's say, 55, that particular age group, there was a season in time where the masculine man was perceived as dangerous if he was present at all. And so women did their best to raise their children to be the men that they thought they wanted. Then when they got older and they realized that they kind of, and I mean this respectfully, that these men act like their mothers, where they're throwing temper tantrums and they make emotional decisions. At that point, now they're their children who's being affected by this type of male presence. And so it's not a matter of men are too self-absorbed. Men have been looking for a space to be accepted for, I mean, I would say ever since the women's rights movement. And that's not a shock. That's not a shot at the women's rights. I believe in women's rights. But who taught the man how to be a man in the space where she doesn't need you? She can make her own money. She can advance in her own career. She can get her own house. Where's the space for the man? Socially, we haven't been discussing that. And instead of complaining about the lack of discussion, I decided to create the conversation. If your value is no longer on what you provide in a tangible sense, then where do you find your value in the social space? And men need to have those type of conversations. So it's not that we're self-absorbed. If anything, most of the brothers that I know, we put our happiness to the side for the benefit of all of those around us, you know, sometimes to a fault. So I just think what happens is someone may have been brought up in a particular context and made that a universal idea when it was really subjective to them. And they don't need to apologize for that. It's our job to show them another standard.
You know, I'm happy to hear you say that, because what you shared is my sentiment also. You know, the brothers that I see, and again, there are all kinds of brothers on the spectrum. I get that. But let me just say, I've been fortunate to see the brothers who are 10 toes down.
Yeah.
You're not coming in this community and wrecking it like you think you're going to wreck it, whoever you might be.
Right.
You know, we do care about our young brothers. You even heard stories about people who survived challenging environments that were gang infested because of a gang members that said, no, you're not that guy.
Yep.
You go that way.
Yep.
You take that walk away from this. You don't want this.
Yep.
And, you know, we've consistently seen examples and models that are not celebrated, that are not embraced.
That's right.
As being very strong and very positive. And I think it has so much to do with efforts to, you know, sort of like neutralize masculinity oftentimes, and to marginalize masculinity sometimes, and then embrace a narrative that guys just don't care. I know there are challenges, but the notion that they've abandoned the responsibilities across the board is absolutely wrong, because that's not my experience. You can, and then again, like you said, the individuality, subjectivity of it, you can say, well, this is what I experienced, but I can say I experienced this.
Yep.
You know, my parents had a 43-year marriage. So I saw a beautiful example of love. Other people might say, no, it's not going to work because it's what happened in my home.
Right.
That should never be the fact about which we measure how things are.
Yeah.
And how we need to proceed in that matter. And I think this conversation is so important. Our good friend, Dr. Myron Edmunds, the founder and CEO of the Winning Circle. I spoke to him last Sunday, actually, and he was talking about therapy in men and emotional fragility, and the idea that some messages, again, the narratives that say, be tough, shake it off, don't worry about it, oftentimes are internalized by men. And it creates a kind of a toughness, a pseudo toughness that breaks in situations. And he said that, you know, why should we be in a situation where we are expecting to bleed on people who didn't cut us?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about that emotional pain that is sometimes carried by men. Some of the, as we call them in medical and psychological spaces, the social determinants of manhood and health, and challenges that are real, on the ground challenges that impact one's identity as a male and one's abilities as a male to be productive.
Very good question. So I have a course called Restoring Masculinity, right? And the reason why I developed that, I actually developed that course back in 2001, and it has been timeless thus far. I'm actually preparing to create a 2.0 that goes more into the details of being a father and a husband and all those other things. But Restore Masculinity 101 deals with the foundations of being a man, right? And what I teach, I break things down on what I call an energetic level. So when I use the term masculinity and femininity, I'm dealing with energy. I'm not necessarily dealing with social constructs. And so I can't break all of it down now. It's an 8-module course, so I couldn't even give you all of it if I wanted to. But I could say this. A lot of the problems that we see in our men is not what some would call toxic masculinity, is actually absent masculinity, meaning masculinity is the energy that focuses primarily on logic, strategy, resolve. It's emotional. There's no emotions in that particular context. But as human beings, we also have an emotional component, which I call feminine energy. It is the lack of stability in the feminine energy that is producing the type of men that we see today. And so messages like don't cry and all these other things, always be tough, it disrupts that emotional stability within men. But we have to be honest, Kenny, that when stuff happens, when we see certain scenarios take place, people look for the men to handle that, right? And so I'll give you this analogy. When I was out there, or really this example, when I was out there in the streets, I used to, my mom obviously didn't know I was gangbanging at all, right? So shout out, Mom. She knows now through the preaching and stuff. But when I was doing this, she had no idea, but I was with my girl, who's my wife now. And I would call and I would say, hey, I'm about to go handle some business, don't call me. And the reason why I'll tell her not to call me is because when I had to go out there and do my street activity, I could not think about those that I love and continue to participate in those activities. So my life was in danger, my freedom was in danger, et cetera, et cetera. I had to put my emotions to the side, and there's a level of focus I needed to survive what was going on. But what would happen is when I was done with all my street stuff, I would go to my girl's house and I was able to take that off, play video games, laugh with her, or even if it was a bad day, cry with her, right? It was safe for me to express this emotional side that I could not express in the midst of it. And so I think the idea of boys don't cry wasn't a bad message, but an incomplete one. We need to teach boys when to cry. Because if you do marriage counseling of any sort, you will find the wives who's like, everything's a problem. He's always crying. He's always complaining. And that's not the quality of life he wants, nor is that the quality of life that she wants. And so teaching him when to cry, where to cry, how to cry. And I would say if we would dare to cry, right, we would find ourselves in a much better emotional state.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% on that. Crying is therapeutic and releases toxins from our body that are damaging if they're held inside. And the purification of that stuff that's inside of us is a good thing anytime it can happen. I always say that or think that crying should really come from a place of that's autonomic. It's not like I don't cry on cue.
Right.
I cry because I really feel that emotion. At the same time, I don't suppress it because then I'm just controlling the emotion and probably playing into the script that somebody has given me that can be pretty damaging and harmful for me. There are a lot of young cats out on the street right now doing their thing. What's the bridge to reach young people today? And let me preface this too by saying I'm not the guy that's going to come at folks and say, the bane of society is young people who just won't do right. I got too many old people that aren't doing right. Right. So I'm not beating up young people by saying this. I'm just saying in those instances where we want to step in, because I've been a member of organizations where the mentor's frustrated because they're like, he doesn't talk much, or he doesn't follow up on I call him, but he doesn't call me back, and things like that. And, talk to me a little bit about that element of the relationship between the person who wants to help another person, whether it's a younger person or a person who is a colleague, and what are the elements of success for those kinds of relationships?
Beautiful. So, I was a youth pastor for many years, and I was also a high school teacher for many years, right? And so I've dealt with young adolescents, teenagers for most of my life, and I still do, right? And what I've learned is the critical part is the rapport part. Now I'm gonna say this, Kenny, that might be shocking for some seasoned people. They can tell when you're being fake. Like you think you're being relevant, or you think you're being professional, whatever it is. They may not be able to articulate it, but they'll say, like, something about this guy, I just don't believe him. I don't trust him, And so what has worked for me is understanding that time frame, that age where they are looking for a certain sense of autonomy. I respect that. When my first time when I was teaching at Oakwood Academy, I was a part-time Bible teacher. And my first day I told them, hey, listen, I'm your Bible teacher. This is part-time, right? So if I lose this job, it's not a big deal. They're not paying me much. So I expect a certain level of respect, because it's going to hurt you more than it hurts me. And they looked at me shocked, because nobody ever talked to them like that, right? I said, I believe y'all can do it. I know y'all know how to be respectful. I'm just telling you, I'm not one of those teachers that kind of play. And ever since then, I had no issues with any student except for one. And he wasn't even an issue. It was just that one day he wasn't acting right. And I didn't beat him down. I didn't do any of that. I pulled him to the side, a young man, pulled him to the side, like, what's wrong? And he was huffing and puffing. He thought I was going to reprimand him. I said, look, brother, I got another class. I'm coming to you because I care. If you don't want to talk to me, it's fine. But I'm seeing something's wrong, and what's wrong. And I was being sincere. And when he explained to me the situation, how he was having problems with mom and her boyfriend was fighting, and he was holding that weight as a teenager, didn't know what to do with that. His father's not around. So, just sit down in my class, put your head down. It's not even a problem. I understand. And because of that, he had a great day for the rest of the day, because I treated him like a person and not like a project. It's like he's having real emotions. He's going through things, and he's a teenager. Like you said, grown folks act up. Why would we expect a teenager to have more self-control than adults? It doesn't make any sense. But the acknowledgement that they are people, and that whatever they are, whoever they are, is a survival tactic. They feel they need to be that. I felt like I needed to be a gangster to fulfill a social currency that I was looking for, that I didn't even know I was looking for. I wasn't into sports like that. My grades was okay. I was intelligent, but I didn't like doing schoolwork, so my grades was What's the thing that I'll be known for? What's the thing that would get the respect that I'm looking for? That's all I was looking for, and the gangs provided that. Being a gangster was one area. It was similar to being a baller, being a musician, or whatever, right? I found my crew. But it was a survival tactic. And so many of our youth, they're feeling things they never felt before. They're seeing things they never see it that way before. And we forget the humanity aspect because of their age. We still think they're 6 or 7 and supposed to do whatever we tell them to do without any questions. That's not how this works.
Yeah. Wow. We got about 4 minutes left. I know you do life coaching. You don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk, and you try to provide direction and guidance for people who are interested in taking that journey with you. Tell me a little bit about what that process looks like.
Yeah, so the life coaching is very simple. What I do is I do an initial consultation to figure out what's going on. I ask you a few questions. And, Kenny, I'm a nerd. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of books, right? And so I'm able to kind of pay attention to some of the microaggressions, the voice inflections, and I get a lot of data just from hearing you talk, right? And then from there, I ask, something depending on the nature, what's the one thing that if it was solved today would make your life better? Then I help you strategize and find a way to do that. But I also help you uncover why you're not doing it in the first place. So what I learned, Kenny, that a lot of people already know what to do. They're just scared to do it. And the reasons why they're scared are deeper than what they even know. Like, they don't even realize that they're about to embark in a journey. I'll give you this example. And, shout out to my believers, my Christian brothers and sisters. There's so many of them who are scared to be rich because the rich don't make it to heaven, right? And they don't even realize subconsciously they're blocking how much they can receive because of this idea that they never articulated, but it was pushed on them. And so as we have conversations, at some point, they will say, well, when is enough enough? Isn't it? At some point, is it going to corrupt you? And then we get there, we can now really tackle that and help with that misguidance, that miseducation. But it might take a few sessions because they're not even aware, conscious. That's the idea, this fear of having too much success is why they haven't even got started. So my life coaching is very similar to that. I help you figure out what's blocking you, what's in your way, and then let's come up with a strategy to remove that blockage.
Yeah, as a fellow life coach, I know that you get some level of satisfaction from investing in the space of helping another person. The last few minutes we have today, talk to me a little bit about what does it mean to you to be able to align yourself and your skills with another person who then brings their resources to the table, and then you can kind of figure out how to make this a better situation for them.
Oh, I am all for collaboration, right? I'm all for partnership, because the things that I've learned is you can't change anyone that doesn't want to be changed, right?
100%.
It is just impossible. And I've learned the difference between someone who wants to change and someone who wants to change. They want that desire to change. They just don't seem to have it. And once again, a lot of that goes with a limited mindset. It's like they see something is good, but for whatever reason, it's not for them. And why do you think that? It's hard, Kenny, for some people to really believe that the world is yours. Like whatever it is that you want in this world, you can have it. Now, it all comes with a cost. It all comes with a consequence. There's more to it. It's not, but so we'll talk about the cost and the risk and all of that, but it is available to you, right? This idea that you can't get it. It's just wrong. It's flawed. But let me be gentle and let me walk you through it. And let me see what you really want. Because when I hear someone say something like, I want money, no, you don't. You want what money can bring. So what is it that you would do with that money? That's what you really want. Right? And so that way of thinking, many people, they just don't naturally go there. So as a life coach, I feel fulfilled when I'm able to ask these questions that get them thinking like, I never thought about that. And then watch how their life starts to change slowly into a better place.
Yeah. There's got to be just one of the most joyful things in life to be able to experience that when you have fully emptied yourself of yourself for the benefit of another person and to be able to see them win. I'm all about people winning. I'm not competing with nobody. It's like, let's just all win. That's my mindset. Again, people, like you said, are going to make choices, but let's just win, and there's a way to do that. And hopefully we'll be able to work together on making that happen. Souffrant LLC. He is a life coach and he speaks as well, folks. So, if you want him to just take his package of life coaching and actually give it to a larger audience or a larger group, he's available for that experience as well. Lawrence, let people know how they can connect with you through a website or a social media presence or anything else that you want to share with us this afternoon.
Absolutely. So you can go to LS Masculinity. That's lsmasculinity.com. You can register for my course there. You go to my Instagram, Lawrence Souffrant. I have a link tree there that has my link for consultations. That have my link if you want to book me. You can fill out that form. I'm also on TikTok. My TikTok is starting to grow a little bit. Finally crossed 1,000 subscribers or whatever it is on TikTok. We working it out, but put a lot of my content there. And then my YouTube channel is where you can get bits and pieces of my content. I do long form and short form on YouTube. So you get some free coaching, you could say, from there as well. And once again, you look up my name, Lawrence Souffrant, and you'll find me.
Yeah. So I need a TikTok.
Yeah, get a TikTok.
Yeah, it's not that I've resisted it. It's just that, I ease into Facebook, I ease into Instagram, I ease into Twitter, I ease into LinkedIn. LinkedIn happens to be my favorite, actually, of all of them. And I've got friends that keep saying, I can't believe you don't have a TikTok. You're active on social media. I can't believe it. So every time somebody says they got a TikTok, I got to ask them for the confirmation. So Lawrence is giving me the confirmation this afternoon. I need a TikTok.
Yep.
All right.
Sooner the better.
All right. We'll see what happens.
Yes, sir.
In the midst of everything else I got going on, I need a TikTok.
Right. There you go. That's it.
My brother, it's great talking with you today, man. I look forward to having future conversations.
Awesome. Likewise. Thank you, brother.
All right, bro. Take care, man.
You too.
Souffrant LLC joining us this afternoon. Life coach and professional speaker. Great conversation with him today and great information that he was sharing. Just so thankful that we had that chance to be able to talk to him. We're going to bring him back from time to time because clearly he's got some good stuff to share and good information to present that I think in this particular space, we're solely focused on helping people to inspire them, to give them a sense of value and purpose and vision for their future. We're going to have him come on from time to time, and so we'll make sure that that happens. I'm going to come back in just a moment with more of the broadcast. I'm Kenny Anderson. I hope that you're having a great afternoon.
You're listening to Second Chance with Kenny Anderson.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I hope that you enjoyed my conversation with Lawrence Souffrant this afternoon, and I hope that you have been able to be inspired by the information that he was able to share in this particular space. I'm going to go ahead and bring my next guest on at this time, and we will keep the ball rolling at this time. Kymone, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. How are you doing?
That is absolutely fantastic. I'm doing great, man. Pierre is close by, I believe. Pierre, are you there?
Oh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm doing well. Good to see you.
Fantastic to see these brothers this afternoon. Kymone Hinds, the CEO of Monetize Ministry. I've been searching to have him on this broadcast for a while because when I first heard about what he was doing, I was excited. I thought it was relevant, and I thought that my platform needs to learn more about it. And this is an opportunity for us to do that. Pierre Quinn is also with us this afternoon. He's CEO of the Cardell Group, and we're going to learn all about the work that these brothers are doing this afternoon so that you can perhaps benefit from what they have to share. Guys, thanks for joining me on this afternoon.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for the work that you do and for your allowing us access to your platform.
Oh, anytime, man.
Honored.
Anytime. You guys are platform elevators. You know, when I start promoting that you're going to be on the show, more people will come to the platform to see what we were talking about. I'll get another, 20 to 30,000 folks just from you guys being on the show. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Listen, tell me about, because Kymone, you were the one that sent me the information first about the sessions that you're going to be doing. I actually got a chance to log on to maybe the most recent one. It was a recent one, like in the last couple of months. It was on the back end because I was busy when it got started. But when I came on, I was like, oh, this is some good stuff. I heard people talking. I heard people sharing. And it was a really positive environment. And I know for myself, I like those kinds of spaces. I like being in a place where I can feel good about where I am and hear from people who are doing very positive and productive things. So talk to me a little bit about, first of all, let's talk about your backgrounds. I'm going to start with Kymone and I'm going to come to Pierre, and then we'll talk about Monetize Your Ministry.
Sure. So I guess my background started in the business world. So my first degree is in something called actuarial science. And after working in that field for a few years, and actuaries are the people who calculate risk. They price your insurance. They help tell you how much you need to put aside for retirement. That's those people. That means you got to love math, and that's something I do. And after working in that field, I sensed a strong call from God to go into pastoral ministry, to serve his people, to lead organizations and congregations. And so I pursued that and worked as a pastor for 15 years. Now, my pastoral journey was not, it was definitely diverse. I was a youth director, communication director, even planted a church. And one of the things that was consistent throughout all of the change was I was always starting something, Mr. Anderson. I was always starting something. I was always starting produced a book, produced resources, launched campaigns. And I felt like God was leading me to this point of my ministry was helping people to bring ideas to life, helping people to develop new things. And so in 2018, just as strong as I felt the call in 2000 to go into pastoral ministry as my career, I felt that same call to step away from pastoring and to do ministry in the marketplace, to kind of bridge the both worlds I lived in, the business world and the ministry space, to help individuals take these talents, these gifts, these abilities, and build businesses and start new things from it.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. We're going to talk about all of that in just a few moments. Pierre, tell me a little bit about your background.
Yeah, some similar movements to Kymone and his journey. My undergrad and graduate degrees are in communication. So I taught introduction to public speaking, group dynamics and leadership, business communication for several years. Worked in nonprofit fundraising, worked for an NGO. And around this point in my career, I felt this strong call to pastoral ministry. Went to the theological seminary and I pastored for 7 years. Now, when I started pastoring, the opportunities to speak outside of the church matured at roughly the same time. So for 7 years, I was navigating full-time congregational leadership, and then these opportunities that would come in to speak, to train, to consult, to do workshops, to do presentations at various organizations across the country. And then in 2019, God made it abundantly clear my ministry for however long that he designated it for would be outside of congregational leadership, and it would be in marketplace leadership, working in boardrooms and classrooms and at conferences and for associations across the country, teaching some of the same insights and perspectives that I learned in church and learned as a pastor, but now teaching them to a wider marketplace.
I think you both have some fascinating stories, and I'm as intrigued about your journeys as I am about this whole thing that I believe happens to us within the context of our spiritual journey. When God speaks to us, and he doesn't keep us in darkness, he creates opportunities and experiences for us to learn and to understand what our purpose is in life and where he wants us to be. And sometimes that's for a season, and sometimes, it's longer than that, And it's just amazing to hear both of you talk about how you've arrived at this space now. And so I want to connect the dots quickly, and then I want to talk a little bit about some of the backstory in this whole thing. Yeah. How did you all come together and decide you were going to move forward in partnership now with this type of alignment in terms of what you're doing now? I'll start with Kymone.
Oh, I didn't hear. Who did you ask to go first?
You.
Okay. I was changing my AirPods because I thought I was causing some feedback, so I just put those in. So Pierre and I have known each other since 2000. In a past life, we sang in a group together. Don't ask me to sing. I don't know if Pierre still sings. But we've always kept in touch. And then when I started working in the South Central Conference, it was probably a year after Pierre joined the South Central Conference, coming out of seminary. And so we reconnected. Look, Pierre's always been someone I've looked up to and admired for just the principled way that he leads and the way he pursues God's leading. And so, he came to speak at my church when I was pastoring. We worked together in youth stuff. And then we felt like God had us on similar journeys. When I transitioned to marketplace ministry, Pierre did as well. And so I think, Pierre, now that the question is asked, I think those of us who've done that, we've kind of created a community for ourselves to encourage each other, right, in this faith walk. And so we were encouraging each other in this faith walk. And Pierre's particular interest has been in speaking and training and development. It's an area that I've wanted to go deeper into. And so I would always kind of pick his brain on this. And then one day a conversation led to the point of saying, you have so much knowledge in this area, and people are asking, how can we partner together to help individuals with amazing stories and messages who are faith-based folks learn how to translate and share those stories for companies, organizations, etc.
I had watched Kymone for a little bit of time. And, we were in school together. Yeah, we sang in a group together. He's from New York. My wife was from Brooklyn. They knew each other way back in the day. So those commonalities and connections were already there. As you advance the timeline, I had watched Kymone coach faith-driven leaders to become six-figure entrepreneurs. I'd watched him do it. several times over. And we had partnered together on a couple of programs. And I said, Kymone, like, you're doing such great work. I want to partner with you on something. And I have this idea. I don't really want to do it by myself. People are asking me how I made the transition from full-time pastoral leadership to marketplace speaking. And I'm thinking of putting together a speaking course, but I don't really want to do some parts of it. And we sent a text message. I think it was close to Christmas one year. It was a text message about partnering together. And about a month later, we sat down over Zoom and we had an extended conversation. And we've been moving in this direction now for close to 2 years and working out what God has revealed in our lives, our experiences, and then helping others translate that into a marketplace ministry. We see our work as ministry in the marketplace, both to the marketplace and also coaching people how to minister to the marketplace as marketplace speakers.
Well, this circle is absolutely unbroken because this is the Lower East Side of Manhattan right here representing. So, we got the New York thing definitely going on this afternoon, and I love that for sure. Guys, this is really, really exciting to me because I too am in the speaking space. Mm-hmm. And anytime someone's doing something in this space, I get excited about it, and I think about my own journey as a mental health professional. I did not take speech at Oakwood when I attended because I was just too shy to stand up in front of people and speak. And I think about God having a sense of humor because over the last 30 years, I have been able to leverage that into a public speaking business. Mm-hmm. And it's taken me lots and lots of places around this nation and some parts of the world to be able to do training and speaking, etc. So it's just an amazing thing what you're doing in the faith-based space. And I want to hear more about that. The concept of monetizing your ministry. Talk to me a little bit about that. Does that suggest someone who is moving away from ministry into full-time marketplace ministry? Or is that somebody who can do full-time ministry in the pulpit and congregation and also marketplace ministry? What does that look like for a person who's interested in engaging you all?
Sure. So I think the first part of that is really just a redefining of the term ministry. We use the term ministry as folks in the church, and it's usually limited to like the pastor or maybe just a few folks other than the pastor. But if we believe the word of God, we are all ministers. And so our ministry finds its expression, not just on the weekends at our local churches, but it finds its expression in life. And each person, we believe, has a particular ministry. It's how you serve others best. And so for some people, that is service through the work they do at the culinary skills. For some, it might be the work that they do through training and development. But it's really, first of all, and I hope those who are paying attention to this, you feel empowered to know that you are in ministry. Mm-hmm. You are in full-time ministry because you're not a part-time Christian, right? So you're in full-time ministry. And what we're saying is, now let's figure out, and this we work with people who are pastors, but we also work with educators, we work with social workers, we work with students, but it's simply people who say, my life has been shaped by God in order to serve others, and here is the thing that I'm bringing to the table to serve. Now show me how I can monetize that, how I can get paid for it. And being paid for it, what that does is allows me to do more of it because I'm able to give more of my time, more of my attention to it. And the three particular ways we help people with that is through coaching others, through teaching you how to monetize, through speaking, as we mentioned, and through writing, because we believe all three of these work together to help us to make greater impact and income.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with Kymone about this years ago. And the conclusion that we came to was that as full-time pastors, our ministry was already monetized. We were already deriving an income from preaching and teaching and counseling and community outreach. We were paid bi-weekly or once a month by our conference to do those things. And in essence, it was a monetization of our ministry. Now, the question then became, are there any limits to this? And in what ways maybe are we not the best stewards of what we've been given, because we've only been thinking about this in a certain way. And both Kymone and myself, we can tell you about the experiences that we've had in coaching leaders, coaching educators, working with entrepreneurs, speaking at conferences, mainstream events, where people have walked up to us and said, thank you for your faithfulness to being in this space, because your ministry has been needed here. We weren't preaching sermons. We weren't doing Bible studies. It wasn't an outreach event. It wasn't an evangelistic effort, but it was someone in a notable position who resonated with what our ministry was and found value in it. So we're perfectly comfortable with recognizing that at every stage of what we do, the ministry has already been monetized. And in many cases, it is bad stewardship to prevent ourselves from connecting with even more people, some of which one of the best teachers on leadership that I've experienced, some of which John Maxwell says explicitly, will never come into our churches, but who need to encounter our ministry.
Wow, powerful indeed. I resonate with everything you're saying. You all would not know this, but when I came to Oakwood many years ago, I was a theology major. And I spent the first year of my life at Oakwood with the focus of theology as my major. I had my little blue religion and theology form card. And I was on my way, and took psychology in my sophomore year. And it changed my life, and it changed my trajectory. But what I came to learn over the years in the course of my ministry and my service is that God had called me to ministry, but he called me to a different type of ministry. So, I mean, I'm up here trying to contain myself while you're talking about this, because far too many people don't realize that. It's broader than that. And we all have a calling, and God wants all of us to be about the business of doing something. So there's somebody listening right now. They're really excited about what they're hearing, and I'm going to make them very happy right now, because I want you to talk about, how do we monetize this process? What is the journey towards monetizing one's ministry?
Yeah, there are really 3 steps that we talk about in our work with our clients. And the first step is the step of discovery. For many of us, we know we have something. We just have not been able to pinpoint what that thing is. And so when we work with our clients, what we help them to understand is a clear picture of what is the thing that I have, what is the problem I solve, and who I solve it for. And just the clarity on that is freeing for a lot of people, because it gives language to work they were already doing, to passion they already had, and to problems they were really solving, but they had not really started the process of just clarifying it. So that's the first step in the process, is discovery. The second step for anyone out there who wants to monetize the thing that God has given you is to develop it into some offer that people are able to pay you for. When I interact with you as a person and you're impacting my life, I want more. And usually the question is, how can I pay you for more of that? That's the human question. And for some of us, we have not put it as a product. We have not made it into a tangible product or an online product. We have not made it into a service. And that's the next step. So for us in the speaking side, we teach you how to make it into a workshop, a training, a talk that people can pay you for, and put a price on it. I hope someone heard me. Put a price on it. And the last step in the process is to deploy it. So it's our simple framework: discover, develop, deploy. And deploy is simply, what are the things that we're going to do, the processes to put it out there, to connect with those who are looking for it, to market it, and even to put a selling point in front of people so that we can have an exchange of resources for it.
What's the criteria for determining price point for your ability to put your product out there, your brand out there?
It's a good question. Pierre, I don't know if you want me to take that too.
Yeah, that's you, the actuary.
All right, so we'll say with pricing. Pricing is always based on perceived value. And so as you think about the pricing for your services, many times we think how long it takes me to do this. And that's really the wrong way to think about it, because people don't really care how long it takes you. They just want to know what's the outcome at the end and what it means to them. And you should not be penalized for being good at something so that you can get it done faster. So pricing should really be, what is it worth to this person? How can I clarify for them the transformation, what it will save them, what it will add to their life. And once what I'm offering them is more than what they're paying, then it's a good value. So if I'm adding to your life something that is worth thousands of dollars, me being paid a few $100s for it is a good deal to me. And really that's the simplest method I could give you for pricing.
Yeah, yeah. Talk to me a little bit about the people you've worked with. And, there are always these success stories, or there are always these people who step into spaces like this, who may discover something about themselves even that may kind of wow you or cause you to feel a certain way or think a certain way about the journey that you're on. Do you have any anecdotes that you can share with regards to the people you've worked with and the journey that you've been on with them?
Pierre, I don't know if you mind sharing about some of our speaking folks, and I'll share on some of the coaching folks.
We've been doing this, so I think we started our 8th cohort recently, and it's always interesting how we encounter the individuals that make up a cohort, and they come from all walks of life. Of course, there are pastors in there, there are educators, healthcare workers, first responders, entrepreneurs, just a wide variety of people. And it's always interesting, the people who come to the cohort and who think, I know I have a message, I know I have an idea, but I don't know if the marketplace will accept it, or I don't know if I'll have the confidence to do it in a way that's meaningful. And we have a handful of these success stories, or people who have just done wonderfully well. One of them you may know by the name of Dorian Stewart, who came through our program. And I remember one-day version of our program, we had Dorian there, and we said, hey, Dorian, by the end of today, you are going to give a 7-minute talk. You will give it without notes. There will be no PowerPoint slides. You will do it completely from memory, and it will be a wonderful experience. And she looked at us the first part of that morning, and she said, nah, that's probably not going to happen. I don't know if that could be the outcome for me. If you fast forward after that experience, of course, she delivered the 7-minute version of her talk wonderfully, masterfully. In fact, it's one of the videos that we first show people that join a new cohort. Not only that, as a part of being in the ecosystem in general, and the coaching and the writing and all the pieces together, she is a sought after subject matter expert in the media. She's been interviewed quite a few times. She's spoken for several organizations. And this comes from a person who once they first started, at least the speaking portion of our cohort, said, I don't know if I could deliver my message in a way that it will be meaningful, that the wider marketplace will accept, and that I could do it without notes in a way that's compelling. Wow. She checked off all of those boxes, and she really sits at the top of what we consider some of our signature stories of transformation. That's Dorian Stewart.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
Come on.
Another person I would add to that is Myron Edmonds is someone who's gone through the program and now is one of our coaches. And Myron's story has always been that God has given him a gift to interact and to serve men. He's always had that gift. And along with that gift, he's had his own personal struggles that he's worked through. And what God has done with his story and the work we've done together is to help him see how your own story becomes your superpower to help someone else dealing with that. And so he's gone on now to coach thousands of men to help them to win in the things that matter. And I think it just underscores that each of us, our story has value, and it has value for individuals. It also has value for companies, because there are people who have similar problems and challenges. And God allows us to build a ministry to help the former version of ourselves.
That's beautiful. Of course, Myron was on the show last week, and I'm always delighted to talk with my good friend and learn about what he's doing, and I'm always inspired by that as well. So that's a little fun backstory that it's great to hear. So we got maybe 3.5, 4 minutes left in the conversation this afternoon. Someone's listening right now. They're very excited. I'm going to give them about 20 seconds to find something to write with. Maybe you want to use your tablet, your computer, what have you. a piece of paper, pencil, something. You want to jot something down, but you want to get this information. Someone's listening this afternoon and they're ready to explore. They're ready to discover. They're ready to connect with a couple of brothers who can transform the trajectory of their lives. What do they need to do now?
They need to go to monetizeyourministrychallenge.com. So it's a little bit of a mouthful, a little bit long, but monetizeyourministrychallenge.com. The reason I'm telling you to go there is for 5 days, Pierre, Athena Shack, a publisher, Myron Edmonds, and myself, we walk with you through that process of discovering, developing, and deploying. And we've seen, wow, Pierre, I've lost count now, but we've seen, let's say, hundreds of individuals come through that. And over the course of the 5 days, gain a clarity on this is my story. And these are parts of my story that I did not even know were as valuable as they are. And then they work on book ideas. We've seen books published. We've seen people get on stages. We've seen coaching programs developed. And we're seeing the kingdom expanded. So monetizeyourministrychallenge.com. It's a small investment, but it's a huge return. And that'll be the first place I'll send you if you are serious about doing something with the ministry God has given you.
Yeah. It's often that person that is right on the tipping point of that transition. You know, they've heard some things, they may have even tried some things, and they're just ready to do that next thing now. These things come in seasons. I know that.
Yeah.
But this could be your season today. The person that's listening right now, this could be your season. And we didn't just have this conversation by accident. Before the beginning of our time, our God knew this conversation would take place.
Yeah.
That's what blows my mind. So this is not by accident that you're listening to this conversation this afternoon. This is part of a divine purpose for your life. And we simply ask that you think about it, pray about it, talk to somebody about it. Go to the website and check it out, and then make your prayerful decision about that. I believe that there's someone out there, or someone's out there this afternoon whose lives will be transformed by just simply going to that website. Let's give them that website one more time.
It's Monetize. So I'll just spell it a little bit. MONETIZE, your ministry challenge.com. No spaces. Monetizeyourministrychallenge.com.
I'll give each of you 30 seconds to give us a closing comment.
One of the things that's been really valuable about this experience, not just coaching the people who have come through the challenge and the cohorts and the intensives, it's the journey that Kymone and I have been on ourselves. And here's a part, especially for those people who are on the fence or have tried some things, Mr. Anderson, that you mentioned. There is nothing like community and accountability. Community and accountability are transformative. And we've seen people come through our programs and in our personal lives, even the community, our partnership and being accountable to each other has led to stories that we could have never imagined. So you've been trying to do things on your own for long enough, and this is your signal. This is your nudge. Find community, get accountability, and experience transformation.
Yeah.
Come on, I'll give you the last
one. Anything else today?
Well, listen, you don't have to do anything now, but you got to promise you guys will come back. I would love for you to come back with in several iterations. I'd love for you to come back with some people that have benefited from the program. I'd love you maybe come back and have Myron with you one time. Just some various formats. We can look at doing that on a quarterly basis if you wanted to, on an as needed basis. But I just believe in what you're doing. This thing is so valuable. And because transformation in one's life is available, we don't have to sit back hoping for something that is available to us. And these kinds of opportunities are available to us. So, gentlemen, thank you for being with me this afternoon. Kymone Hinds is the CEO of Monetize Your Ministry, and Pierre Quinn with him this afternoon, CEO of the Cardell Group. Together, these brothers are making a difference in people's lives and taking them to that next level, wherever that next level is. I just believe it's up and forward. So I'm glad that you guys are taking them there. Great conversation. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you.
All right, guys. What a great conversation, folks. I tell you, I'm excited. I'm fired up, and I hope you're fired up too. We're going to make sure we put that information in chat and make sure that you have an opportunity to be a part of that. I want to go ahead and bring on my next guest at this time because they are up and they're ready to make it happen on this afternoon. And we, of course, have an opportunity to talk to two individuals this afternoon who we had a chance to talk to recently. There's a big conference coming up right here in Huntsville. It's the Inner Healing and Deliverance Conference coming to Huntsville, Alabama. And joining me this afternoon is the founder of Deliverance 360. He's Neal Nixon. What's up, Neal?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm on top of the world this afternoon.
Oh,
it's been a good day.
You should be, because your dad is Jesus.
100%.
100%, 100%. Yeah.
Also, back with us is Apostle Mark Rice. He is the senior pastor of Significant Revelation Ministries based in Douglasville, Georgia. Apostle, how you doing again?
It's good to see you, brother. Every day is a holiday and every meal is a banquet. God is still on the throne. So
I love it. I'm going to throw in every day is Friday because I'm retired. So we'll just move on down the road, though.
Amen. Amen.
Guys, listen, we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, launched a conversation a couple of weeks ago about this very dynamic and exciting conference that's coming up. Talked a little bit about your personal ministries and how you have combined and collaborated to make this thing happen. And just wanted to unpack this a little bit more today as it is coming up. And we want people to know exactly what they need to do to prepare for this. Neal, I'm going to start with you. Talk to me a little bit about your work as the founder of Deliverance 360. What is that? And what is it about that people need to know about?
Well, I'm with you right now with my mentor, Apostle Mark Rice. That's my mentor. So I learned a lot from him in a short span of time. But what we do at Deliverance 360 is that Monday to Friday from 8 p.m., we have deliverance sessions with people from all across the country. We've dealt with people in the Caribbean. There's a lot of witchcraft in the Caribbean. We've dealt with people from Latin America, Canada, the United States, and it's completely free. So 8 p.m. every night, we just pray for people, pray blessings over them. We deal with any witchcraft or demonic activity, and through the power of the Holy Spirit and the name of Jesus Christ. And
you meet virtually?
Virtually via Zoom, yeah.
Okay, so you can literally touch people wherever they are.
That's correct.
Yeah. That's terrific. Well, we're doing that this afternoon because people are listening at WJLU.org. So we hope that this gets out and around the world today so that people learn about this tremendous ministry and this opportunity. Apostle Rice, you're senior pastor of Significant Revelation Ministries based in Douglasville, Georgia. Tell us a little bit about this ministry.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. I grew up in a denomination that was about rules, regulations, and tradition. I wasn't taught to establish no personal relationship with Jesus. And as a young man, not a young man, as a child, I was introduced to adult content at 5 years old by my father. And that had an impact on my life. We're supposed to guard our gates. And of course, that's your ear gate. And I don't know if you gentlemen, I know Brother Neal is, sir. I don't know if you're a father, but most people can't imagine taking a child and putting them in that position, because at that age, your brain is still forming, your personality is still forming. So this is what I was introduced to, and it had a major impact on my life, and it led to an addiction. And there wasn't any answer or understanding of anything supernatural in the denomination I came up in. And it wasn't until I was introduced to the Deliverance ministry that I was able to be delivered and set free from that. And so now, as Brother Neal mentioned, I have the blessed opportunity to minister to people all over the world. And To God be the glory. It has nothing to do with me, sir. I am a major sinner saved by major grace. But if someone wished to book an appointment with us today, they would book in October. And what that speaks to, even though Deliverance represents 1/3 of Jesus's ministry, the church as a collective is not doing it. And so I've ministered to people that have been on Deliverance waiting lists for 2 years. So our goal is to educate the body of Christ. If we look at, I believe it's 1 Peter 2:21, it literally says that Jesus' example that we're supposed to follow and walk in his footsteps. And 1/3 of what he did is lay hands on the sick and cast out devils, right? And if go to any church and I ask, is Jesus the example that we're supposed to follow? Well, everybody would say yes. In fact, some people would be insulted that I would fix my mouth to pose such a question. But when I say Jesus cast out demons, it begins to get a little quiet. And I show them scripture. Yeah, and we start there. We're not here to judge people. The Bible says my people perish for a lack of knowledge. So what does that really mean? We can quote some of these scriptures, but what we try to do is start off with scripture. Matthew, well, we all know Jesus says, if you love me, keep my commandments. We know that. And then we go right to Matthew 10:8, heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, and cast out demons. Then my question is that a request or a command? It doesn't say if you feel like it, if you're up to it, if it's a sunny day. He said this is what we're supposed to do. And he says in Mark 16:17 through 19, these signs follow those who believe. In my name they will, and cast out demons there, lay hands on the sick is there, and see and recover. So we need to have those conversations with the church. And part of what we do is educate and we train the body of Christ. So we're not trying to recruit anybody's parishioners, but we want them to stay where they are and learn inner healing and deliverance, and then go forth and have these conversations with their pastors and come against the generational patterns that we see, generational patterns of poverty, children out of wedlock, high divorce rates, people not getting married, right? Sicknesses, illnesses, virus, disease that's running rapid in our community. And speak about generational curses, generational altars, things of this nature. You look at the Bible, in Deuteronomy 5:9 says the iniquities of the father are visited to the 3rd and 4th generation. All right. So when you're born, there's 15 people on your mother's side of the family and 15 people on your father's side of the family within 4 generations. All right. So we know what our DNA is. What I'm speaking to you and your listeners about today is your spiritual DNA. And this is why a lot of us, as I'm speaking, can see certain patterns in our bloodline. But let's be generational curse breakers. And we do that through education. And so that's pretty much who we are, and what we're called to do is to actually get out in the community and help people understand the full gospel. All right. So thank you, sir.
Why do you think it is that we don't hear about people contextualizing evil situations, demonic situations, in the context that we read in the Bible, where Jesus and his disciples cast out demons? Why don't we hear that today? Is it still happen? Is it still possible? Why don't we hear about that?
Brother Neal?
Yeah. I want to come back to Mark 16, right? I want to come back a little bit and then I'll answer the question. Mark 16 is the last chapter in Mark. I've been meditating on these words of Jesus in Mark 16. This is Jesus' farewell address. Jesus knows that he's about to leave. He's giving his last speech on earth. And what comes out from his mouth is, these signs shall follow them that believe. This is one of the most important speech in human history. The last speech given by Christ, and he's saying, these signs shall follow them that believe. In my name they shall cast out demons. And I believe in Luke 6, he said that the student is not like the teacher. But when he is fully trained, he will be like the teacher. Now, what who is the teacher? The teacher is Jesus, right? And what did the teacher do? He preached, he taught, he healed the sick, he cast out demons. So the question you ask about why don't you see that? There are people that are crying. I've met a lady who spent 18 years going to churches and no one would help her. So there are individuals out there that are going from church to church looking for an answer. And some of them are actually, when they cannot get the answer from the church, I have met people that have gone to shamans and witch doctors and psychics and palm readers and burning of sage because the church turned them down. The preacher said, you don't do that there. That is the heartbreak that I don't know about Apostle Mark, but when I come across cases like that, that's a heartbreak to me. But somebody spent 10 years going to church after church looking for an answer, and when they can't get the answer from the church, they end up going to a psychic or a witch doctor or a shaman or a palm reader, and then they fall deeper into the trap of Satan because of that.
Let me ask this too. This is actually, I didn't know I was going to go in this direction, but Apostle Rice raised the issue, so I'm very curious now. It might it also be because of a couple of other things that just kind of made me think about as we were talking, as Neal was talking a moment ago. Could it be that the manifestation of demonic possession is not necessarily as well defined today as it was in the Bible? So we're not looking for, or if we're looking for what happened in the Bible, we don't necessarily see that today. And of course, as a mental health professional, I've seen a lot of things, and I'm not saying people that are mentally ill or demonic possessed, but, could it be that we don't see that? And could it also be that because the narrative regarding demon possession has somehow been modified so that we now don't necessarily see it for what it actually is when the manifestation of it is right there in front of us?
It's a great presentation. Could very well be. I think it's a combination of those things, as well as money. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. The church is a business now, and so my question to you and the viewers and the listeners, excuse me, what would benefit the church to teach an easy message? Praise and worship.
I think Apostle froze up on us for just a moment.
Yeah. You were saying it's a combination of things. Oh, yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's back.
I apologize for that. Yeah.
It's all right.
But I just if we just look at dollar and cents, all right? So if a pastor has a ministry and the church is growing and people are coming every Sunday and there's more and more tithes and offerings being paid, right? And no one's discussing healing or deliverance or actually discipling people to do what Christ did. In Mark 1:39, he says, for he preached in their synagogues throughout Galilee and cast out devils. This is what the word of God says. But when we present it to the men and women of God, we say, listen, if you're preaching and not casting out devils, are you doing what Jesus did? Yes or no? It's not multiple choice, right? But if the money's coming in and nobody's dealing with this issue, then human nature in most cases will be like, if it's not broke, let's not fix it. And I'm telling you, it's broken because you have good people, good men and women. Deacon Jones he's an awesome server, but he can't put the bottle down. Okay. Brother Smith, he's always on time, but yet he can't stop hitting his wife. And some of us have other addictions and issues that are generational. And then we open doors on our own, right? So I think it's a combination of what you said and as far as just a financial overlay of the entire church. You know,
Yeah.
I personally, like, no one told me this. A pastor came to me and he was like, Pastor Mark, I just want you to know I believe everything that you teach. I believe in healing. I believe in deliverance. I came up in a church like that. I was in the building when my parents prayed for a baby that died, and that baby came back to life. I believe in all of it. But deliverance is not marketable. That is a quote, the direct quote. No one told me this. I heard it. Deliverance is not marketable. And so I never judged a person, but I use that to teach. This is where we are. And I present this to both of you. If you look at Jesus's ministry, how many guys he had with him in his ministry, right? Versus, we won't call any names, but versus some ministries that have 20, 30, 40, 50,000 members. Which one looks closer to Jesus's ministry? And I guarantee, well, I haven't seen it, maybe out there, that there are some churches, I'm not putting large churches down at all. I to God be the glory, if that's the platform that was built, then so be it. But at least establish an arm within the church that somebody's dealing with these ungodly addiction or these demonic dreams, right? Or these voices. You know, I know you mentioned about mental health, but we deal with voices too. We deal with the spirit of schizophrenia, right? And have just that level of education where we minister, or we train frontline ministers that they go to any church for the special circumstances. And I guarantee there are people in the congregation that need help, rather than they come to the pastor. The pastor don't know what to do and just say, well, you need to pray against that. And we want to have these conversations. And we've been able to, thank the God, minister to people all over the world and travel, sitting with leadership and having these discussions and building a platform in your church to train people to work in these circumstances.
So let me ask this question. The Inner Healing and Deliverance Conference is coming to Huntsville. It's July the 11th, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. It will be at the Sid and Patty Smith Event Center right here in the beautiful city of Huntsville, Alabama. Will the Inner Healing and Deliverance Conference be a place for healing?
We are going to do, let me give you what the day is going to be about. It's actually a step-by-step training process of what happens during deliverance. Also what the Bible says about deliverance. And we'll go through also renunciation. Publicly, corporately, we do renunciation. And if someone manifests, we were going to attend to it. And very likely people would manifest.
What is the flow? So 9 a.m. until 6 p.m., what can people expect who come to the Inner Healing and Deliverance Conference?
So 9 a.m. when you come in, we have a light continental style breakfast. And then we'll have a small worship to acknowledge the Holy Spirit, acknowledge Jesus Christ, the angels that he's going to send to be with us, etc., etc. Just to create the atmosphere for the Holy Spirit to reign. And then we go into the biblical training, biblical teaching, what the Bible says about deliverance. And once we do that, then we go into the individual sections of deliverance: witchcraft, demon possession, hard parts, fractured souls, those kind of things. And then we'll do corporate renunciation. Pastor Mark has an extended list of renunciation in a book he published recently. So we are going to all do that, this renunciation, dealing with Freemasonry and sexual sins and idolatry and different things like that. And once that's done, I think that we move on to see if anyone manifests during these things, and then we'll attend to them. And then we are going to have something, a section where we train people how to pray for people that are sick. Because a lot of Christians do not adequately know how to pray for the sick, how to pray in boldness, how knowing your covenant rights and privileges as a son and daughter of God, and how do you come to the Father in prayer, dealing with the things such as unforgiveness and repentance, before you pray for somebody. So that's, and then we have a lunch around 1:30 would be lunch, and a lunch will be in at the facility, because we do not want anyone to leave during the time. We want people to stay and network with the ministers that are going to be there. Yeah.
And I'm actually working on an outline here that I'm going to present to the team. But definitely what Brother Neal said, and need some ideas. And what we can do is we will condense this teaching with Pastor Donnie Williams of Liberation Freedom Ministry and Brother Neal and myself. But some aspects that we may cover is inner healing, generational curses, generational altars. Man of God mentioned witchcraft, word curses,
yes,
cursed items, renunciations, as he said. I'm going to do a Deliverance 101. As he said, what does the Bible truly say about that? We touched on a few things today. And then also introduction to deep deliverance, that next level of deliverance. There's many subjects to speak about, but I think this will be a magnificent introduction just to get the body of Christ talking about it. Well, they showed us this, and it's actually in Scripture. If it's not in the Word, then don't listen. But if it's in the Word, don't ignore it.
Tell us again, is there a website? Is there a registration process? How would people go about connecting to the Inner Healing and Deliverance Conference that's coming up on July the 11th?
So the website is deliverance360.com. You can go there and register. The cost is $47. I would prefer if there would be no cost, but of course I'm providing breakfast. We are providing breakfast and lunch, and you have to rent out the center. So there's a small cost of $47. Again, the reason why we're having lunch, we do not want you to leave. I prefer you eat and sit with a minister, network with the minister, and that provides an opportunity for fellowship as well. So deliverance360.com. You can call me at my phone number 256-429-8145.
All right. Well, it sounds like a wonderful experience that is going to happen next weekend. This is, of course, 4th of July weekend, and so it's coming up pretty quickly. And we look forward to many people descending upon this location for this event. We'll make sure that we post this information on our Facebook page, my personal page, as well as my Second Chance page, which is the number 2 in Deep Chance. If you want some more information, they've created some great graphics that have all the information on it, and we'll make sure that people see that. We'll also drop that website in the chat as well, so that people know how to connect with that information and be a part of the Inner Healing and Deliverance Conference coming to Huntsville, Alabama on next weekend. Neal Nixon, founder of Deliverance 360. We thank you for being with us today, and Apostle Mark Rice. Thank you once again for joining us today. He is a senior pastor of Significant Revelation Ministries, located in Douglasville, Georgia. And
yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much for having us. And we're at significantrevelation.com. And if you want to book an appointment, it's also free, as the man of God said, 404-324-6651. And we're at significantrevelation@gmail.com. God bless you, and thank you for having us. And I'm looking forward to coming to Alabama. Now, you may never heard of this little town, but my mom is from Luverne, Alabama, in Crenshaw County. So it'd be good to go home.
Yeah.
Well, welcome home. We'd love to have you. We're looking forward to having you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, thanks for being with me this afternoon.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
God bless you guys. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Great conversation about the Deliverance 360 conference. Hope that you all will take part and definitely get the information that you need so that you'll be able to access it. As I close this afternoon, I close on a sad note. I'm just going to read this message or this post that I did on Facebook on last week when I learned about the passing of a very dear friend. Some goodbyes are exceptionally hard, and this is one of them. I'm deeply saddened by the sudden passing of my dear friend, Vanessa Weatherly. Vanessa was a beautiful soul, a dedicated professional who gave 41 incredible years of service to Huntsville Utilities and an unwavering pillar of support in my life. Vanessa rarely ever missed my first Wednesday free professional development seminar. In fact, she was almost always the very first person to register. We always took group photos, and Vanessa would always sit on my right side with the quiet reassurance of a wing woman on our monthly flights. She was deeply invested in her own personal growth and was a constant encouraging presence. We frequently celebrated her growth and engagement in spaces that challenged her to stretch and embrace new experiences. I will forever cherish our final moments together just a couple of weeks ago on Tuesday, June the 16th, when she was a guest at my table for the United Way of Madison County's Designer Bag Bingo event at Stovehouse. We shared laughs, great conversation, and fellowship that I will now hold closer than ever. Vanessa won a pocketbook, and we posed for a photo just before the program ended. I've been stunned since learning about her passing, but I'm comforted by the precious memories of a life well lived. My deepest condolences go out to her husband and my friend, Harold Weatherly, her sister, LaDonna, who I got to meet through our first Wednesday sessions, her entire family, her professional colleagues at Huntsville Utilities, her sorors, loved ones, and everyone who had the privilege of knowing her. Rest well, Vanessa. You'll be profoundly missed. Well done. I want to thank each of you for being a part of our broadcast today. And I also want to thank my guests, starting out with Dwight and Sharonda Ware from Chocolate Rocket City and Everywhere We Go podcast. Great conversation with them. Lawrence Souffrant LLC, life coach and professional speaker, talking about his initiative for restoring masculinity and so much more. Kymone Hinds, CEO of Monetize Ministry, and Pierre Quinn, CEO of the Cardell Group, for a great conversation about the ministry that they are currently engaged in. And then Neal Nixon, founder of Deliverance 360, and Apostle Mark Rice, senior pastor of Significant Revelation Ministries in Douglasville, Georgia, talking about the big Inner Healing and Deliverance Conference that's coming to Huntsville, Alabama on July the 11th. On next Sunday, we will have my next round of quarterly sessions, including Drake State Presents Perspectives in Higher Education, United Way Sunday, Huntington National Bank Presents, and Service and Valor with Captain Dr. Washington Johnson II. I look forward to that opportunity to have great conversations, as we always do. I want to also remind you that you can follow us on Facebook and on Instagram at the number 2 ND Chance. That's Second Chance, not spelled out, but the number 2 ND Chance. Follow us on Facebook as well as Instagram, where we tend to post information about the show, clips from the show, as well as information about what's going on in the community that you may need to be familiar with. And then we also want to thank those that consistently join us on the radio at 90.1 FM, those who join us at WJOU.org on the net, and then those who join us on the live stream at Praise 90.1 FM on both Facebook and YouTube. We appreciate you. Every person that tells me I listen to the show on a regular basis, I want to thank you for being part of our day on Sunday afternoons. It is a privilege to serve as your host and producer. We look forward to a great show next week, but in the meantime, have a great rest of the week. Remember, as always, that knowledge is indeed better than riches. I wish for you a great rest of the day, and we'll talk again soon. Good day.
Thank you for tuning in to Second Chance. We hope that the information that was shared has been a blessing to you and that your life will be enriched as a result of it. We'd love to hear from you. So please send your email comments to Kenneth Anderson at mxlife@aol.com. That's mxlife@aol.com. And check out our Facebook page, 2ND Chance. That's 2ND Chance. In the meantime, have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next week. Good day.